Let's talk about JVM garbage collection logging. I know, super exciting topic, right? But it can be because when you're having a bad day with JVM, you need to know what's going on. GC logging is really just what's the state of the JVM. JVM, Java Virtual Machine, of course, is a virtual machine, a real one, that runs on top of your CPU, has its own memory space, and it's really complicated. You can go into that in depth. But what we really need to know is that that memory state needs to be healthy. And when it's not healthy, it can make your life really miserable, especially in a Cassandra node or anything running Java, because that Java process needs to be clean and ready to rock. And if it isn't, well, time to find out why. GC logging is a great way to start. Most problems with your Java virtual machine end up being something with garbage collection. The GC log gives you a lot of great information about what's happening inside the JVM. The first thing you need to do is turn it on, because it's not on by default, and you're going to want to turn it on periodically. This isn't something you want just on all the time, because you're not expecting problems. When you do wind up having a problem, turn it on, see what's happening. The things you're going to see are like your heap filling up and big pauses on the system itself. So a lot of the configuration files are in the jvm.options file, and these are flags that have to be put in front of the running Java process. Now, of course, you can run an external process to look and inspect inside of the JVM running process, but when you add these options into the system, when you start the running process, then it opens up a whole lot more logging, and it gives you more information in the areas of the JVM you're interested in. For that dynamic configuration, jinfo, which is really about how to manipulate the JVM external to the JVM, that allows you to do some runtime changes. Sometimes you need to just do it for a few minutes, understand what's happening, get out. It keeps you from having to do a commitment of, yeah, I'm going to put that into a log file. And if you're afraid of commitment, it's a great way to go. The output that you get looks kind of like this, actually is exactly like this, because what you're seeing is all the different parts of the JVM and what they're doing, how long it took, etc. But here's the thing. If you don't understand what any of this means, you need to get into a little bit of the JVM logging. In this case, we're looking at garbage collection. And just at a basic level, garbage collection, how long it took, and how much left the system. The big number is that how many seconds did it take? If it took 0.04 seconds, that's 45 milliseconds, that's a pretty good long time in computer time, but it's not detrimental. We don't want to see numbers crawling up that high. But if we start seeing it in single integer numbers of seconds, like 2 or 3 seconds, big trouble. That's not okay. So these numbers break down in this young generation space. Young generation is a part, it's also known as young GC. Young GC is a part of memory that we want to manage the most. When we're looking at the heap, we're seeing those numbers changing. That 109 to 142, that is the heap before and after sizes. In this case, we're seeing that number going the right direction. It's going down quite a bit. The next one is how much of the young GC space is available. And we want to see this alive and well and moving. Young GC is where most of the problems start in the JVM heap. And when we see that time to get the required GC done, keeping that low means that things are moving along in the JVM pretty well. So hopefully this is a pretty good explanation of how that logging works. To really get into what the JVM is doing, that's not this course, but you can find a lot of information out there about JVM itself. Now, let's try some exercises on how to use these tools to monitor and diagnose your running cluster.